Hey, hello everyone. Good evening. This is Radha Krishnan from Pixel Village. Well, I know it is a Monday evening and the lockdown has been relaxed in many parts of the globe. It definitely has, in India, in many places, the lockdown is, relaxed now. Well, not in Pune where we are, and not in Mumbai, and a few other places in the country. So yes, but still, I can see lots of people who are here on a Monday evening wanting to listen to us. Thank you very much for tuning in, and let me quickly see who are here. Oh, okay, you have our JMJ is already here. I think he came 15 minutes back. We have Niamul Riafat. We have Vizag. We have DCS Vizag. Yes, he's there. We have Bansival from Pune. Anish 3D saying PV. Hello, PV sir. Oh, already. Anwar sir. Thank you, Anwar bhai. Thank you very much for tuning in. Karabasu. We have Rehan Glaswala. Tawfiq Sabid. We have Scooby Noob. Oh, okay. Good evening. And lots of them. Lee Stafford Gonway. Okay. Ravi sir. Good evening, Ravi sir. Arun Raj. Namaskaram. And Purban. Hello, Purban. How are you? He's from West Bengal. Achal Khere. Vignesh. Hey, thank you very much for tuning in. We have Pradeep Tripathi from Silvassa. Okay. Wonderful. Nomster Vlogs. Okay, you're from Ireland. Okay. Unni Krishnan CB. Oh yeah, of course. I remember. You are an Indian from Ireland. Okay, thank you very much. Sandeep Makanur. Amiltini photography. Vanakkam. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, wonderful. We have Vikveda. Vikveda is, thank you for your workshop in these trying times. Vikram from South Africa. Oh, wonderful. Which part of South Africa are you from? We have Karthik. From Andhra Pradesh, we have Pradeep Tripathi, Green Farm Techno. Thank you very much. Yes, lots of people are there already. Okay, now, well, today we have a special person. Okay, he is from India. He is an Indian, but he is now in America. So he is coming to you all the way from Texas. Okay, and he's come, and it's early morning there. It's almost 5:30 in the morning, and he's ready, and the amount of preparations that he's done to make this session interesting is amazing. I mean, I had a chat with him early, their evening, yesterday for them. Yeah, last evening I had a chat with him, and I was amazed by the preparation that he did for us. Well, he's here. He's waiting. He is none other than our mentor of the day. He is PV Subramanian. But before I go to the mentor of the day, I like to quickly tell you that Pixel Village is an online photography education platform. We originally started as a YouTube channel. And well, thank you for your support for that channel, and we are doing reasonably well for in a channel which is just 2.5 years old. And about a year back, we started the Pixel Village online photography education portal, and ever since we've been working on that, and we put together some of the finest mentors in the country. They are the ones who are teaching photography online. Well, we have pre-recorded sessions, we have live webinars, we have free sessions. Even this particular session is being live streamed in our website. So I'd like to play a small video about our website first before I actually show you the website, and show two more bits of information before I invite to this evening's guest.
How I go and shoot a wedding?
You want to create something in the world, you have to come out of the condition. I am a lifestyle photographer based out of New Delhi. पिक्सल विलेज का जो अप्रोच है वो जरा अलग है.
That's right. Pixel Village is one of India's. We would like to believe that it's one of the, well, it'll be a tall claim if I say the finest place to go to for online photography education platform, at least in this country. But, well, that's where we want this to take this platform, for which we require your support too. So please spread the word. It is probably India's only multilingual photography education platform. At least I can say that with a decent bit of confidence. I also would like to quickly share our website with you. So this is our website. So when you subscribe to or enroll in a class in Pixel Village, you not only get to learn, you also win some prizes. So we have 5 prizes for this month. So if you end the offer will end on 30th June. So we have all these prizes: a ring light, a Joby tripod, a table tripod, a flash, and a flash adapter called the Flashbot, all available as a part of our lucky dip. And we have lots of different genres of photography that is being taught here: wedding photography, fashion, architecture and interior, food photography. Then you have landscape, documentary, and studio lighting. These are the sessions. So if you click on courses, you will straight away go into to courses. This is today's streaming. So this is being live streamed on our website now. This is a live webinar which is coming up, and we have another interesting news, but I will share it during the probably at the end of the session today. And these are the classes which are available. They are in, like I was telling you earlier, multiple different Indian languages. Besides English is also almost an Indian language by now. And these are the wonderful mentors that we have at Pixel Village. They are some of the finest in the country. And here is our mentor of the day, PVS. We fondly call him PVS. And he is... His full name is PV Subramanian. So without any delay, before I call him onto the screen, I would like to also tell you that Pixel Village also has an online, an app, an Android app, and I have given the link already in the in the comments, and I would like to probably add it once again for you. You can use the link which is in your comments. To download your app. If you have already downloaded, please share with your friends and spread the word. That's the best way to grow together. All right, now to today's personality, our mentor of the day. Well, like I said, he's an Indian, but he now lives in Austin, Texas, in America. And he's coming to you all the way from there. Put your hands together for the mentor of the day, amazing PV Subramanian. There you go. He is on your screen. Welcome, PV, onto Pixel Village.
Thank you. Thank you, Radha. An absolute pleasure and honor to be here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Pleasure is all ours, yeah. And we are really looking forward because we don't really get to chat about analog in our sessions. In not many forums we get to chat about or know about analog, and also to get someone who's an analog as well as a digital expert. Well, that is also very difficult. Well, so I would, without wasting any more time, I would like you to kickstart today's session probably by introducing yourself and take us through. I know that you have put together a presentation. I would like you to take. So the stage is all yours. Whenever you want me, give me a shout, and I'll come right back in. Whenever you want me to share the screen, let me know, and I'll quickly start sharing the screen. All right?
Sure. Thank you so much.
So please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining. I did see a few known names there. I did see Wesley there. Hi, Wesley. My intro basically is that I'm I was born and brought up in Jamshedpur, erstwhile Bihar, right now Jharkhand, and did my schooling there till 12th. Then I moved to Chennai to do my CA. So I completed CA in 99. And then I kind of joined GE, and then my corporate career began. Didn't really know what I was doing there though, but yeah, I mean, everybody has to kind of go through the grind, I guess. So for about 17, 18 years, I worked. My last stint was with Cognizant for about 6 years. And post that, more importantly, I've been doing photography since 1988. I think 1988 was the first time I held a camera. So since 88, I've been shooting. In 91, I got my first SLR. There was no DSLR at that time. So I just got a tank, a Russian tank, which is the Zenith, with a 50 mm f2 or something, a Helios lens or something. And then that's where the journey really began. So 2003, I think, is when I got my first digital. And I was parallelly shooting film as well as digital. And I think 2007 is when I kind of completely gave up film and then moved totally digital. And 2009-10 is when I started doing commercially weddings and portraiture commercially. So that's where the digital journey really began seriously. And I pretty much during these 30 years tried almost all genres there is to try. And during this journey, what happened was I was getting, for about 20 plus years, 25, almost 25 years, I was so lost, like a lot of people, like everybody else, in the whole technicalities of photography, right? Cameras and megapixels and focal lengths and how many focus points and how fast is autofocus, and that was obviously cluttering your mind all the time. When around, I think 3 or 4 years back, I just took a back seat and said, okay, what am I really doing? Am I what is photography really? So I think a little more of depth, started analyzing a little more deeply. And that's when this whole journey to explore photography as an art form and treat the camera just as a medium, and not as the be all and end all of photography really began. So right now I seamlessly shoot with this, which is a large format Linhof. Very often I shoot with this, which has a negative size, which is this big. So your full frame is probably this big, right? So this is about 16 times full frame. And or I shoot with my digital, which is one of my favorites, the Leica Monochrome. So these two are my real favorites as of now. So seamlessly, the idea was to disregard the medium, right? Disregard whether it's digital or analog, disregard whether it's a big camera or a small camera, whether it's 18 megapixels or 50 megapixels. So completely become camera and medium agnostic and just focus on the frame. So that's really been the journey. Plus, I've obviously started doing a lot of workshops and teaching. I'm also a pro photo and a pro photo mentor and a Sigma ambassador. So that's really been the journey. So yeah, Radha, maybe we can share the PPT now.
All right. So once you all right, perfect. So I'm going to
Yeah.
bring in, and before we start, I'd like to quickly tell you that we have now people from Mumbai, Pune, all parts of the country here in India. We have people from Paris. Ben
Wow.
Asur is from France. We have Durban. By the way, Vic Veda is from Durban. By the way, Vic Veda, I have shot many times in Durban. And I have friends in Durban, in fact, and I have friends who are producers in Durban. So Durban is an amazing place. I'd love to. It's actually poor man's Miami. It's something between Cape Town and Miami, you know, or even Mauritius for that matter. And I used to go. I've shot almost 9 times on the beaches of Durban, and I think I momentarily lost you, but you're back. So yes, it's an amazing place. So we have that. We have people from Ireland, people from somebody was there. So lots of places. We have Bahrain. We have Niamul from Bangladesh. We have William Chang from Canada. He's stuck in Canada, so he's tuning in now from Toronto. He's saying hello, Radha, howdy, PV. So William is there.
Hi.
Yeah. So lots of people I have tuned in from various parts of the globe. So I'm really excited about the fact that we are talking to the world now, technically. Great. So yeah, so there is Tasneemul Hassan from Bangladesh. He's also here. We used to get a few, few from Pakistan. I've not heard anyone today. So if there are anyone from Pakistan here today, just give us a shout, and I'd like to, read out your name. William, say, yeah, of course, William. I talked about you. Yeah, you're from Canada now, temporarily. Okay, so we have Vijayawada, lots of people. Okay, so you can share your screen.
Teja is a friend. He's
oh, is it? Oh,
met
wonderful.
yeah, he actually attended the large format workshop that I did in Chennai. That's how I know him. But since then, we've been kind of in touch with respect to Analogue quite a bit.
Wow. Mangesh Patil is from Melbourne. He, in fact, he's from Mumbai, and he dropped into Pixel Village last time when he came to Mumbai. Then we have Gujarat. Oh, lots of people. You can share your screen now so that I can bring it
sorry.
no problem. And yeah, very nice.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So yeah, so you are now full screen on our screen, so you can please start your presentation. Thank you, PV.
Awesome. So I thought appropriately I should name this, and I've kind of delivered this in some other places also, famously in Shari Academy, and Girish and Hrid were kind enough to let me talk about this to their students.
Wonderful.
I think somewhere in early 2019. So I named this Beyond Technicality, because I think there's nothing sacrosanct about me. I've gone through this grind. So basically 30 years in 30 minutes, that's how I like to call this. Right?
Okay.
Whatever was my journey for 30 years. And I think because I was not formally educated, I think about 95 to 98, 99% of the people who take up photography come from that kind of background, right? They just like it. They see something nice in it. They want to create, and then they jump into it. So a lot of people will identify with this. So art and creativity in photography, and I call it a journey because that's what it is. It never ends, right?
Yep.
You just go on.
Totally.
So just a quick intro. My personal Instagram is Portraits by PV. So it's named Portraits by PV, but there are portraits, there is street, there is film, there's all sorts of things there. But my weddings is thirdeyestudio_net, and the website is thirdeyestudio.net. Sorry. And I run something called Kit Karma. So 2017, when I quit my job, I kind of started Kit Karma, KITKARMA.com. So Kit Karma is India's first peer-to-peer equipment sharing platform, safe equipment sharing platform. So the
Okay.
journey for me has been that, when I started off, obviously had no money. CA days, my stipend was 300 rupees a month. Then second year, it was 450 rupees a month. And third year, it was 600 rupees a month. So where is the money to buy cameras and stuff like that? So still, I would manage one film in 2 months, one roll, and then developing that and all that stuff. So, and then fast forward to about late 2000s, 2009, 10, I had like, I think, 2, 3 cameras, and then some plenty of lenses, lights, tripod, this, that, amassing and amassing and amassing equipment, right? So late in 2016, I had this idea of why not share, with Airbnb and all these kind of things. Now, I think people are getting over the fear of sharing, right? So Kit Karma's idea is that if you have excess stuff, and it need not be your expensive camera or expensive lens or anything, it could be that there is insurance for that. But even otherwise, if you have, like, I have so many filters, I've lost count. I have so many accessories lying around, triggers and stuff like that. So basically, you put it up on Kit Karma, and anybody who's nearby can go online, book it, borrow it, lend and borrow. So that's really Kit Karma. Now we also have used buy and sell, and we also have workshops and stuff like that. So it's slowly evolving into a kind of an all-round photography. So there are 3 E's: education, employability, and equipment. That's how I try to kind of position it, right? So then, from an educational perspective, academic perspective, I said I'm a CA, and also I did a 1-year EPGM at MIT. And I'm a Pro Photo mentor, Sigma ambassador, and I also used to represent Ilford for a year. I did that. So that's about me. So the first question is, whether photography is science or art, right? So I think the obvious answer is it's a bit of both. But then the second question then, and of course the picture is Ansel Adams' famous picture. So the second question then is how much of a science and how much of an art is photography, right? Because I think if you see any discussion, whether it's an online forum or whether friends get together who are photography enthusiasts, I think the talk is so much about the science of it. And what is the science of it? It's just aperture, shutter speed, and ISO, right?
That's right.
At least in earlier days, you had chemistry, okay? So which you don't have anymore, right? There is no chemistry anymore if you're not doing analog. So it's pretty much restricted to the exposure triangle, maybe a little bit of lighting and lighting ratios and stuff like that. But beyond that, what is the science in it, right? But then if you see the proportionate amount of time we spent talking about the science, discussing the science, and getting our mind cluttered in the science, it's like phenomenal. Okay, it's like there is no end to this. We can leave 3-4 photographers and we can talk day in day out about cameras and lenses and
Yes,
equipment,
you bet.
right? Yeah,
you
all
bet.
of us experience that, right? And then there is the art. And so all these 3 pictures are, by the way, from maybe between 1930s to 1960s. Okay, the first one is Fan Ho. The second, and these are all analog, right? Second one is Ansel Adams, and the third one is Elliot Erwitt, right? And look at these pictures. Nobody cared about megapixels, nothing. There is amazing light, there is contrast, there is compositional value, there is humor, okay, and there is geometry. Great use of light. So, and then suddenly these pictures really stand out. So what do you really need to create something like this? The first picture, probably any point and shoot today, or probably your phone can create something like that, right? You hardly need 50 megapixels and 500 focus points to create something like that. But then how many pictures like that are being created, right? I think that's really the whole art aspect of it, right? Those lines, the shadows, the kind of geometry involved, and the placement of people. And the second one, where that lone tree where the light is falling is kind of standing out, okay? In those days, Ansel Adams was obviously shooting with like a large format and stuff, and then he came up with compositions like this, and there are just so many of his pictures we can keep talking about. And the third one is actually Elliot Erwitt. And there's a very interesting story about this, that he had almost exhausted his role of film, and then he saw this scene. He's walking into the street with his friend where he sees this man sitting with these two dogs, and then he's like, it's a nice situation. How do I really capture this picture, right? And then he borrows this film roll from his friend, and he actually exhausts almost all of the 36 exposures to get this one shot. Okay, and this turns out to be that perfect shot, right? So there's hardly science in this. I don't think these guys would have spent too much time thinking about, you know, uh, a lot of stuff apart from probably how am I getting the light right, the contrast right, and the humor and stuff
Yeah.
in the photograph right. So
Yeah.
so the art really, photography is an art. Photo comes from light, right? And how much of importance do we really give to light, right? So those are the questions which which we really need to start asking ourselves. And the next one is the camera. What is really the camera? The camera is just a medium, right? Your mind ideally has a vision. It sees something and says, okay, I need to capture this. Now, if your mind could actually capture digitally and then print it out, you won't need a camera. But alas, we can't do that, at least not right now. Maybe in a few years you could pull a printout from your head, but we can't do that now. So right
Yeah.
now we need a camera, and that's all it is. I mean, not disrespecting the camera. I'm a gadget freak, admittedly a gadget freak. I love trying different things, but over a period, what that has taught me also is that it's just a medium. So don't give it so much importance that that starts taking center stage vis-a-vis your art that you're going to create. Okay, I always say a phone in hand is better than two cameras in the back. Okay, a fleeting moment should not go away. Get the fleeting moment. That's more important than what medium you're capturing it in. So medium agnostic, camera agnostic. That's really what it is all about. So the journey, right? And how does the journey begin? The journey always begins with, should I buy Nikon or Canon, right? Now probably it's, should I buy Nikon, Canon, Sony, Fuji, Olympus?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
increased. But
Yeah.
at least when I was kind of my years evolving as a photographer, it was always, should I buy Nikon or Canon? That's how it begins. And then once we get our hands around a camera, it starts with sunsets, flowers, and insects, right?
Yes.
Favorite subjects for beginners: sunset, sunrise, flower from the top, and then we start getting interested in macros, and then we suddenly discover the magic of flash. Oh, I don't have to really shoot in low light. I have something called flash. So then we start getting deeper into it, and then we discover that there are genres, right? Photography has wedding photography, it has street, it has photojournalism, lifestyle, landscape, architecture, portraits, and da da da. So there's plenty of genres which you could actually now start getting into or specializing in. So suddenly that's like, wow, okay, I think I like this. I want to do this. So that's the journey takes you there. And then I think is the long journey of starting to create a body of work. You know, which according to me should have three things. One, first and foremost, it needs to have artistic relevance. Okay, photography being art, are you creating art? Okay, that's the first thing. And art here is not restricted to getting 200 likes on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. It's way beyond that. Okay, then if you are trying to be a full-time photographer, is it creating commercial relevance? Is it paying back in a certain manner? Because a lot of us who give up everything and come into this, it's very difficult for you to sustain if there is no commercial value, and then suddenly that passion, that drive starts losing steam because there is no commercial relevance, right? So I think that is important. But more important than that, creating a body of work which has social relevance. Okay, And I think that is one part which a lot of people miss. We get lost between this artistic and commercial relevance, that we completely ignore the social relevance that photography, the awareness that it brings about. And if you see, the most respected photographers forever have been people who really contribute to social relevance. Okay, so
Mm.
for me, I think the longest journey is the journey where you find a kind of a juxtaposition between commercial, social, and artistic relevance. Okay,
Okay.
that really, and it need not be restricted to certain genres. Even as a wedding photographer, people ask me, how do you really create social relevance as a wedding photographer? Why not? I mean, you're shooting only the bride and the groom and the fun part. Do you know how much is happening behind the scenes? And every wedding will have those moments where you can start shooting that, and then over a period, and these bodies of work don't happen in 2 months, 3 months, 3 years.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes 10 years
Yeah.
to really
Yeah.
tell a social story, right? So start creating something like that. So that's really the longer part of the journey, right? And that's what slowly I'm kind of now trying to understand. The other thing also to understand is that art is genre agnostic, so it doesn't matter what you're shooting. You could be shooting wildlife. The first one I forgot, maybe David Yarrow, I think that's his picture. The second one is Raghu Rai's picture from the Bombay
Yeah.
stations. Okay, art is completely genre agnostic. It does not matter what you're shooting. You
Mm.
could be artistic, you could be creative, you could set yourself apart from the crowd, irrespective of whatever you're shooting. So that is the mindset you need to start developing, inculcating, and getting into this. If you think, are a wedding, what will I do? I have to shoot the bride getting ready from this angle, from top angle, side angle, backlight, and then I have to go and shoot the mandap, and then I'm done. Maybe do a couple portrait in the end, I'm done. No, I mean, look at wedding photographers all over the world. They're just creating magic, and every day the industry, the trend is changing, right? So there is so much to do there, right? So it could be wedding photography, it could be portrait photography. So art is absolutely omnipresent and omnipotent. The first one is Raghurai, again the second one is Steve McCurry, right? And what is art all about, right? uh, Light, color, contrast, and composition. And I'll come to composition later. This is what it is. It's light, color, contrast, composition. And whether we understand light, color, contrast, composition, it's all about that, right? The camera, again, as I said, is just a medium to kind of capture, right? So this was on film, by the way. Just wanted to show some pictures here. So this is Hasselblad 6x6. This was in my studio in Chennai. So maybe Potra 400 or something. This was on film. This is Jiveshu, famous comedian. He also happens to be an old friend, so shot him at his place. Then now these are all natural light portraits, ambient light. So this was at a wedding where there were some lights going on. But I'm saying you need not be restricted by your ambience, by where you are. You will see good light, you will see good stuff everywhere. The key point is, are you observing, are you observant enough to kind of figure this out, right? This one is a large format 4 by 5 portrait of Roshni. She's now a big star on TV. The same girl, but these two are digital. Yeah, this is just what I use to show lighting. So this using flash, this using these two using natural light. This was with the Pentax 6x7 here in the US. So this is one of my favorite cameras, which since I sold because it's just too huge. So this is again, I think on Portra or maybe Fuji 400. This again is digital. So seamless. I mean, you can seamlessly move between mediums, between color and black and white, between the size of negative. None of these really matter about the kind of lighting you choose. These are all digital and samples of backlit pictures, right? Again, backlit, maybe a bit of high key. And then we come to, contrast or separation, right? A lot of us miss this. How is your subject supposed to be standing out in your frame. So the test is really squint your eyes, just make your eyes small, squint your eyes. And in design, this is called figure ground relationship. So squint your eyes and see whether your subject is actually standing out vis-a-vis the background, right? If that is happening, then you've got good figure ground relationship or contrast or separation. That is really what defines, a good picture. So do we understand that? Does our arc really, lead us there? So again, examples of figure ground relationship: a window light, dark background, a pregnancy shoot, but the subject is fairly small, but if you squint your eyes, you can still see the red against the blue. So color contrast, again, color contrast, the warm tones of the blouse, sari, and the face against the blue background. Here again, light coming on from the side and a black background. So it's all about light, color, contrast, composition. Light, color, contrast, composition. That's all there is. Well, is it easy to kind of figure this out in 1 day, 2 days? If you're really, really talented, yes. Otherwise, like me, it's going to take you 20 plus years to kind of figure this out. So, but again, it's all about that. It's all about light, color, contrast, composition. And then finally, composition. So composition is way beyond just the rule of thirds, right? I think the simplest, I think it's good to simplify it and just put it as, rule of thirds. And these are pictures from Fan Ho, one of Hong Kong's most famous photographers, I guess in the 60s. So you can see how there are leading lines, there's figure ground relationship, there is amazing light, contrast. Of course, these are all black and white, so but light, contrast, and composition, right? How this, how he's played with shadows and scale here. Again, backlight situation and how the figure really stands out in the picture. Even if you squint your eyes, this figure is going to be very clear, and the windows are going to be very, very clear. These are the works of Henri Cartier-Bresson, and maybe he even never thought like this. He always said geometry, but designers later on kind of juxtaposed design principles of dynamic symmetry onto his pictures, and then found this amazing play of dynamic symmetry in his pictures, right? He called it geometry and decisive moments, but there was so much more to his photographs. That genius of Henri Cartier-Bresson, that really was pervasive in all his photographs. So that's what it's all about. There is so much here, and you can just immerse yourself in this. You can just go on and on and on studying the work of masters, which then plays to so many other design principles. This again, just as an example, this famous shot of Cartier-Bresson, what all it has something called the law of similarity. It has got figure ground relationship, it's got aspective view, it's got law of proximity, it's got law of symmetry. Again, the idea is not to get lost in technicalities like this, but understand that these things exist and have knowledge about this, so that over a period, subconsciously, you can start seeing these things in pictures and also start applying these in your pictures, right? That's really the reason for understanding these things. Again, my favorite, Fan Ho. Just see the interplay of light and shadow, geometry, figure ground relationship. So we come to the question of whether creativity, what is creativity? Are you born with it, or is it a process, right? I would like to think that creativity is a process, and you can learn or train yourself to get more creative. So how do you really do that, right? So everybody has a process, right? Subconsciously, we have a process of creating a picture, right? So let's say you're going to shoot a wedding. You have to decide which camera you're carrying. Assuming you have plenty full of cameras, you got to decide, okay, I'm going to carry this camera. You have to decide what are your lenses you're going to carry. Okay, so you say, okay, wedding, fine. I'm going to carry my 85 mm. I'm going to carry my 50 mm. I'm going to carry a 1635 or a 2470 or whatever. Then you have to decide the angles, or maybe decide what lighting you're going to carry. Then you have to decide at the ceremony what angles you're going to shoot. Then you have to decide how you're going to post process. Maybe you have to decide how many pictures you're going to click. Then you have to decide what is my post processing going to be. And ultimately, how am I going to print my albums, design my albums, and print my albums? Now, how do you really start getting creative in this process? You start getting creative by changing one or more of these things that you do. So, if you're carrying a certain camera, how about carrying a completely different camera for a few weddings? How about leaving your 85 behind or your 2470 behind for a few weddings? So that's how I kind of developed my skill across focal length. So my favorite, obviously, like a lot of people's, was the 85 and 50, right? Shoot always with 85 and 50, 85, 50, because you get that creamy bokeh. You don't have to worry about anything. You know, you've isolated the subject, fantastic. And everybody loves bokeh. So all clients were loving it. Then I said, I'm now getting bored with it. So for almost 6 months, I carried my camera everywhere with just a 50 Okay, and including weddings, I was shooting only with 50 Of course, I had a second shooter or a friend or a partner who would shoot something else, but personally, I was only shooting 50 Then for a few months, I was shooting only 35 Then I came down to 28 Then I came down to 24 and then 21 right? So now, if I go to a wedding and you give me any lens, 21 to 85 to 100 probably 135 I can still do justice to the shots, right? And over a period, you get that skill to understand focal lengths, how to tell a story through focal lengths, how to adapt to different focal lengths. And that really starts giving a very different perspective to your work. It starts getting variety. And then you probably identify with a certain way of storytelling. Similarly, lights. For I think 3 to 4 years back, I was completely a natural light photographer. I hardly used to use strobes. Now, not that I cannot live without strobes, but I love using light. I love to create using light. Even if I'm shooting in bright sunlight, I try to see, can I create a difference by introducing light here, right? So that really opens up, your perspective. So start breaking what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and then go with a vengeance after something new. After a few months, go after something else. That's really the creative process, right? So are there rules? Yes, you should know the rules, but then what's more important is learn how to break them. But then the most important thing is to know the rules. Okay, so a lot of people, they hear somewhere, somebody, one of the famous photographers said, I think Ansel Adams said, there are no rules to good photographs, there are only good photographs. So you say whatever I create is good. No, it's not. You need to know the rules, you need to understand. After that, find creative ways of breaking them, and that's absolutely fine. And I think subconsciously you will develop that, right? So the first one is my picture. The second is my partner in my wedding films company, Saravanan's picture. But the example of wide angle portraits. Who said portraiture can only be done with an 85 or a 50 or a 100 or a 135? These are 24 shots, or I think the second one is a 20 shot. So you can create portraits with wide angle. Who said portraits have to have everything in focus? So this is with a large format camera, so only this eye is in focus, everything else is out of focus. Here, there is a hand in front, and I just broke up the picture to create something more dramatic and different, right? Who said wedding couples have to be shot with frontal light? Why can't you shoot them in backlight? Who said flare is bad? Introduce flare. This is natural flare of the sun. Again, a wide angle portrait of a funny moment. Who said the bridal portrait has to be in full light, right? It could just be a silhouette. Who said your camera has to be still when you're shooting something? You could actually purposefully move the camera and get something different. Who said there should not be too much negative space around the subject? You could actually purposefully introduce negative space in your picture, right? Uh, Again, backlit pictures, selective light, and this is all sunlight. This is not strobe. This and this is all sunlight, right? So let us, to really circle off, let us do some myth busting, right? There is no best camera lens or a best camera lens combination, right? There is nothing like that. There is nothing like a best camera. Every camera has some fantastic elements to it, and every camera has some not so good things going for it. The key is you need to adapt to what you have, or whatever you buy, or whatever you have in your hand. If you're able to adapt, that then really helps you and goes a long way in creating art, right? Learn techniques, not technicalities. Should you know aperture, shutter speed, and ISO? Yes, you should. But do you know techniques? Do you know uh, how uh, you know how do you ideally, not ideally, but how do you shoot in good light? Do you observe light? Do you use light well? Do you harness whatever is available to you well and learn techniques of creating art? That's more important than learning the technicalities behind cameras and megapixels and stuff like that, right? Find liberation in limitation. Alan Schaller, like our ambassador in the UK, came out with this beautiful video, uh, you know, shooting street with just one camera and one lens. So he said, find liberation in limitation, right? So how about just shooting with one camera and one lens? It's actually liberating. It actually declutters your mind. Don't think about anything else, just the frame, just the frame, just the frame, light, color, contrast, composition. Don't have anything in the viewfinder. I see people's viewfinder cluttered with all kinds of data. And then manufacturers are cramming more and more in the viewfinder, right? Everything you want to know in the viewfinder. Guess what? I don't want to know anything. You know, I just want to see the frame in my viewfinder. I don't care about anything else, right? And for the last 5, 6 years, I've been only using manual focus. I've not even been using autofocus, including weddings or whatever. Better cameras, so-called better cameras, only hide your incompetency. They don't make you better photographers. I think this is very, very important to understand. We are always running behind better camera. Oh, this has what touch capability, right? Touch screen. This has 150 focus points. Really? How many of those 150 focus points have you ever used, right? Oh, this has 15 stops of dynamic range. Who cares? All you need is 5 stops of dynamic range, maybe less. Uh, this has, like I said, focus points, multiple menus and customizations possible, higher megapixels. So in the name of better, what is happening is that any mistake you make is actually hidden and you can always recover in post. So you're actually never becoming a better photographer. You're just buying yourself into hiding incompetency. That's what is happening. Okay. And that is why I urge a lot of people to go to film, not because there's a snob value to it and not because, you get a lot of, you know, accolades for it, but more so because there is so much limitation. And that limitation will liberate you, it will declutter your mind, and it will make you really discover yourself in a much, much better fashion. So, this whole obsession with full frame. What if I told you full frame doesn't exist? This is a camera which is, I think, 24 by 24, which is like 2 feet by 2 feet negative, right? Like I showed you this. Okay, I showed you this some time back, right? Now this is the negative is 4" by 5". So what is full frame then? Really? Is there anything called full frame? No, there isn't. It was just a gimmick that manufacturers, found out when digital came, and they said, let's call 35 mm as full frame and let people get obsessed over it. And guess what? We all started getting obsessed over it, right? So forget this whole is full frame better. Wherever I go in any forum, I think 20% of the debates are full frame versus APS-C even today. Okay, just let's just relax and let's forget about this whole full frame. Education is cheaper than a new lens. Always remember. I do workshops, and when I quote the fee, oh my God, why are you charging so much? Because I learned it over 30 years and I'm going to teach that to you in 8 hours. So I think I deserve that much. But guess what? They won't attend that workshop, but they'll go and buy a new lens for 50,000 bucks. Will that lens make you a better photographer? I think the answer is obvious, right? The camera will never see what you don't see. So train your mind, train your eye, pick the brains of photographers, people who you think do good jobs, people who you think who can help you. Pick their brains, understand what is inside their brain, how they see, why they see what they see, and their experience. Not, sir, what camera did you use? Somebody just asked, what lens did I use? Well, the lens what I used was a Leica Oculus, but that's besides the point. What is the point is that I had the courage to go against the light and shoot and did not mind the flare. That is more important than what lens I used. Whatever lens you use, you still can create a similar picture. Maybe you won't get the perfect flare, but you can still get some flare and you can still shoot against the light. And like I said earlier, a phone in hand is better than two cameras in the bag. So it's important to understand, why did we choose photography in the first place, right? It's important to indulge in a non-visual medium to imagine and visualize. See, photography is a very visual thing, but how do you bring pre-visualization into your picture? How do you imagine a picture even before you've shot it? It's very important to read. It's very important to listen. These things really fuel your imagination. Imagine reading a book, which is a lost art, unfortunately. But what happened as we were kids, when we were reading books, we used to imagine. Nowadays, you have cartoons, you have everything visual, and we're all crazy about visual. But non-visual mediums are the ones which really fuel our imagination. And believe me, trust me, it has a huge impact on photography. Analog teaches you fundamentals. It teaches you process. It teaches you patience. If today I took away the metering from your camera, I think, including me, 99% of us would be lost, right? Where do I really begin? How do I meter the scene? There are shadows, there is light, there are clouds. Oh my God. Analog will teach you that fundamental. It will force you pretty much to become a good photographer, right? It teaches you process. In large format, when I'm shooting, it takes half an hour to get one picture. And if one small mistake is made in the process, which is of 10, 12 steps, the picture is lost. Okay. It'll teach you patience. Learning should be a way of breaking the creativity wall, right? Learning will teach you 100 different ways of using the same lens. An extra lens will only change focal length, but it will not open your mind, right? But one workshop or 1 hour with a mentor or 1 hour with somebody who understands photography, could be a friend, could be somebody you meet, some talk you attend, that will open up your mind in 100 different ways. A lens will only change the focal length. That's all it will do. It's important to see, but more important to understand what you're seeing. So we all see good light, right? While we are walking, while we are driving, we all see good light. And we even comment, hey, you know what? I think this is great light. Because subconsciously, somewhere your aesthetic sense is appealing to that. But do you know why that light is good light? Can you replicate that light with artificial lights? It's important to see and understand what you're seeing, why you're seeing, and how that light is really happening. If you understand that, then you'll be able to create much better. And that's where mentors and all learning really comes in. And if I hear a lot of people saying, I'm passionate about photography. You know what? Passion is nothing but sacrifice. It calls for a lot. Okay. Starting something like a Pixel Village, starting something like a Kit Karma, it drains you physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, right? You will struggle, your family will be unhappy, the future will be uncertain, but creating art should be your source of happiness. If you're doing it for an end, don't do it. Creating art should be the end, not a means to an end. There are a lot of people, and there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people say, hey, I'm into wedding photography just because I want to make money. Fine. If that's really the way you look at it, that's absolutely fine. That's your perspective of life. But if you came into photography to create art, then create art for the sake of creating art. Don't do it assuming that it will really fetch you accolades and money. It will, but it'll take a long, long time. And like I said, that social relevance, financial relevance, commercial relevance, and artistic relevance. Only when those three juxtapose will you become anything worth reckoning with. Okay. So that's, I think, pretty much what I had. I know this was, probably a little heavy and stuff, but yeah, I'm open to questions.
All right. I was like, oh, sorry. I was like quietly listening to the whole thing. It was one of the finest sessions that we had in Pixel Village, in the last 10 days. Thank you very much. I'm sure, lots of people resonate with my opinion here, and lots of them are really saying this is one of the best sessions. They've already started saying that. So thank you very much. And they to the point. The best one is the finest equipments. They actually hide your incompetency. That's like like in a shot in point blank. Yeah. There are lots of questions that we need to ask ourselves before we call ourselves photographers or creative people and all that. And yeah, definitely this session was a really an eye-opener. Thanks for bringing all those references from the masters and showing them how simple are they. Some of them, like you said, they probably didn't even realize that they were shooting with all those, dynamic angles and points and whatever. And subsequently, people realize that there is a method to that madness there, So there is a lot to learn. And another very big thing which is lacking these days is reading. When you see a visual, you don't really see what was there on the right, left, top, and bottom of that visual. You are conditioned by that visual, and you think that is there to see. That is all that there were to see in front of them. Whereas if you read something and you have this process called reading between the lines, and your mind start wandering, you start creating wonderful visuals. That's why a good screenplay writer brings in a lot of these visual elements into cinematographer. If you have a great screenplay writer, cinematographer's job becomes so much more easy, because he has already seen it. You need to now add your creative ability into it to kind of translate that into visuals, So
one thing which I always say, see, during my corporate life also, when I started with my team and all, I was talking. I always used to give reference of cricket, because one, it's my favorite sport. And I think a lot of people understand cricket, right? We are a cricket frenzied nation, right? So everybody understands. So in photography, I get cricket in. So I say, what is a good shot? Okay, a good shot.
Okay.
A good shot is not just somehow the ball getting, across
the boundary.
Yeah. It's about a fantastic backlift. Okay. It's about fantastic timing. And it's about a great follow-through.
Yep.
Okay. So the backlift is your pre-visualization. The timing is the decisive moment where you press the trigger.
Absolutely.
And then follow-through is your post-processing. Post-processing is also underestimated quite a bit today. And people, there are some purists, the purists who think that post-processing is bad, but post-processing has existed forever. Right. I think you mentioned this in some of your this thing. So post-processing is nothing bad as long as you know what to do. So don't make the skin plastic. Okay, don't oversaturate pictures, but good post-processing can enhance your picture. So it should not be a means of repairing bad pictures, right? It should be a ways and means of enhancing your good picture and making it better, making it a differentiator, right? So now the camera is the bat. Okay. Now, while Sachin Tendulkar was very finicky about what weight, what length, what breadth of his bat was, but then that's Sachin Tendulkar, right? So he knows what is the best tool for his job. Okay, but the bat by itself is not getting the ball behind the boundary.
Yep.
Okay, it takes years and years and years of practicing that timing to get the back left right, timing right, and facing Shoaib Akhtar and sending him to the boundary, right? So I think it's very important to understand, metaphoric, just as a comparison.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful. Hey, great. Thanks. That was really an eye opener. And it was very well put together and very well presented and very seamlessly presented. Thank you very much for that session. So we have questions coming. Okay, let's take some questions now. People, if you want to start asking questions, PVS is here. Ravi Dingra sir is saying, today I read an article about unwanted jobs and artist is on top of the list. But is art a job? Not really. Like PVS pointed out, it is not the end. Yeah. So it is. I mean, when you start digging deep into it and meanings and stuff, suddenly you realize that, look, like you kept on saying throughout the session, that it is a device. You should know what you should be, what you need to use. Slow goers, you use a bottom heavy bat for sure. Yeah, if you want to take singles, you will definitely use a short handle. And if you want to really hit the ball out of the bag, like you said, long handle and a bottom heavy bag, and you probably step outside the crease a little bit so that you can convert a good length to probably to a full toss. So there are so many things that you learn. But if you say, I have in fact been in that situation, so I keep narrating that to photography. Whenever I get a chance to interact with photographers, there was this friend of ours who had the finest cricketing gear. Okay, he had. So when I was playing cricket way back in the mid 80s, early 80s, when I was playing cricket, a good pad and a good cricket bat we used to have to oil the bat in those days. Non-oil bats were not available. Getting a bat was very difficult. We used to share. We used to share abdomen guards. Someone will come out and give you the guard. You put that in and go back to the suit. So anyway, there was this guy who was a rich man, a rich boy, and he had the best gear available. And he would come in. He was the opening batsman. And he would lose his throw his wicket on the first over itself. And when he walks back, it's an interesting sight to see. He's a glamorous guy. I mean, he had the best stuff on him, and he's walking back on the first order. And the one down batsman is a boy who just manages to play cricket. He's a newspaper boy. Newspaper boy. And he has a standard line to tease him. He said, you couldn't buy the play, right? The actual game you couldn't buy. I mean, you bought everything else, but the game, kharidne ke liye nahi mila kya? A kind of question. So yeah, it makes sense. But these days, that's what we do always. I mean, we even after saying all these things, still will salivate on a new product that comes in. And
so that's what I said. See, I do that, right? Anything new comes, I'm the first to kind of read about it, find out everything about it. But that should not dominate everything else. I think that's really the point. There's nothing wrong in being obsessed with equipment, because we just like it. I mean, we are just obsessed with gadgets. Let's just admit it, right? We all love our gadgets, but if that starts overpowering your art, and that's when the problem starts happening. I think there are a few questions. Do you want to can I just take those?
Yeah. Can you pick?
Yeah.
If you can
Yeah.
pick, it'll be nice.
Yeah. So there is Babu asking art photography and good photography both deal with light and
Let me find that so that I can bring it onto the screen. Babu, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is the one?
Yeah. How to distinguish between these two types of photography. So first of all, light and shadow coexist. Okay. What is the point in light if there was no shadow? Right? Light and shadow coexist, and light and shadow have to be there in pretty much every picture. Would you love a white wall picture? You would not, right? So light and shadow have to coexist. So use light and shadow effectively. That's the whole point. And art photography and good photography. So there's no distinction, right? Basically, good photography has to be artistic. So both are the same thing. And similarly, light and shadow are not different things. They are pretty much the same thing. It's just two sides of a coin. What use is a one-sided coin? You need to have both sides useful for the coin to kind of be useful to buy something, right? So there is no light without shadow. There's no shadow without light. So use that effectively, and shoot. That's really the point.
Thank you. He's saying that you change your this 1 hour change his perspective.
That's the humble attempt.
Yeah. I mean that's like a paisa vasool, statement that Shatadru Bhattacharya.
Shatadru Bhattacharya. I think somebody said Mukesh Damodaran is asking, how do you compose the scene in your large format? So let me just
let me.
Yeah.
So
if you see here, there is this ground glass. Okay. So what happens is when I put a lens, the picture of what I see through the lens is kind of visible here. But since there is no mirror, it's upside down, and left is right and right is left. So you compose in a large format looking at a picture upside down. So you have to train yourself for that. So basically it's upside down, but you can see the picture clearly. You can focus. So focusing, the lens itself has no moving parts. So to focus, you have to move this whole thing forward. Okay. So the lens kind of goes forward and backward. So this is the best. So by the way, they made the best cameras back in the 1800s, right? You can focus moving the lens back and forth. There are no moving parts to the lens. So you don't need all kinds of, floating elements and aspherical. You don't need any of those. It's all taken care of. And you can shoot a macro with this. You can get close. You can shoot wide angles with this. The flash, since the shutters are all leaf shutters, your flash sync doesn't matter. It will sync at any speed. Okay, so if you can do pretty much everything except for the bulk, you can pretty much do everything that you can do in modern cameras with this camera. And you can do it better. So,
sir, how many megapixel is that?
that depends on how well you can scan these.
So that's the question. You say everything and finally that it ends there.
What megapixel is that?
Hornbill Studios.
So by the way, that's
sure.
Karthik. Yeah, Hornbill is.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's Karthik. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So this camera, by the way, this is a Leica release in 2012, and this has only a black and white sensor. So only black and white sensor, and it's a rangefinder, no autofocus, nothing. And the old technique of zone focusing, right? So you put it, if you want to do street, you put it at f16 or whatever you want, and then you just zone focus this. So yesterday I shot a lot of street with this, and only black and white sensor. So should I just share? Is my screen still being shared, Radha? Yes, right?
Yes, it is. It is. I mean, I actually I thought you will share some of your new black and whites here.
I'm just sharing. I'm just sharing.
Please. Yeah.
Is it visible now?
Yeah, it is visible. I'm going to
Okay.
share the screen for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was all yesterday, and this is a not so safe part of town. Okay.
Oh.
So I couldn't get the camera to my eye level. Okay. I had to shoot all of these from hip level. So basically, I'm keeping it at my waist level or something. And this is an old technique in street photography. So I'm keeping these at hip level, and then just kind of guesstimating the focus and the and no autofocus, right? So guesstimating the focus and composition and shooting. So these are just a few pictures from yesterday, and this is all Austin downtown. So just wait for the right moment. She was waiting to cross the road, and then that split second she turned. I don't know why she turned, but she just looked, and you got to be just ready. And this has no FPS and all that. This is like one shot. Okay? After that, it takes 3 seconds for the next shot. So
nice.
So I was just kind of documenting that things are getting back to normal. Life is kind of slowly getting back to normal. Restaurants are opening. People are kind of starting to get out, and a lot of people without masks. So that's actually surprising. So while some are still using masks, and there are a lot of hoardings saying wear masks, stay safe, and all that. So this guy was kind enough to let me shoot a portrait. He was one of the ushers outside a bar.
Nice.
So probably this photo and this photo are eye level focused properly, but the rest of them are all shot from the hip. Because a lot of people don't take very kindly to, you shooting them a lot of times. So you got to be careful. So
yeah, you got to be careful.
So then you have the I Can't Breathe, Save Black Lives. That campaign is also going around in town. So that was something else which I also wanted to kind of capture. So yeah, somebody asked light and shadow. So there you go. There's light and there's shadow. So you have to have pretty much.
Yeah, nice.
Both. Anything? No. Okay. And I've been shooting that this thing, right? The infrared.
Yeah. So if you that's also amazing series. I think if you can share a few images, it'll be great.
Just a couple of more pictures from yesterday, and then I'll go to infrared. So yeah, this is yesterday. The clouds were just absolutely fantastic. And by the way, all this is with one lens. It's just the 28mm lens. Yes, I have cropped a few and stuff, but just one lens kind of. So the pubs are opening, people are cleaning, and life is slowly getting back to normal. And lately I started shooting with infrared. Where is that?
You must also share a few images of your long exposure if you have it with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful.
Yeah. So these were shot infrared. So basically, you put an infrared filter on top of your lens, and then shoot. So it's basically renders the sky almost becomes black, and the foliage green stuff becomes light, and reds pass through. So yeah, so that's why you see this is all green, which has almost become white, right? So this is all infrared. Now these are also with just one lens, 21mm lens.
Yeah. Oh, nice. This looks like the Ansel Adams style.
The light. So we had an amazing side light on the tree, and it was very green. So
oh, nice. Oh, nice. Very nice. Helfiger, Starbucks.
So this is an absolute red car. That's become kind of
white
because of the infrared filter.
Yeah.
this is a tree right outside my house. I see this every day,
Mm.
and I just say, oh, it's another tree outside the house. But when you shoot it in infrared with that light, it just suddenly
Yeah.
turns. This is just as soon as I get out of my house, this is what I see.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was basically with trying this thing. And you said long exposure. Yeah, I just so I just show one large format, a couple of large format
Oh
pictures.
yeah. That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was shot with the large format. So the beauty of large format is that you can correct perspective, right? You don't have to, even if you tilt the camera, you don't have to tilt the camera up to cover. This is a
Yeah.
very tall bridge. You don't have to tilt the camera. You just have to raise the lens, and it kind of covers that. So there's no perspective correction and all that.
Yeah.
So these two are film on 4x5. And,
I also like that your kid's portrait in that open field. That was again a very nice shot.
I have that. So these are some long exposures over the years. Oops. One second. Okay.
Yeah, slideshow, is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
So this is Chennai, Tadankuppam Pier. Yeah, this is all there. This is, I think, Tranquebar. This is out just from the balcony of my house. The clouds were really dramatic one of those days. 1 second, yeah.
Oh, this is like very Ansel Adams.
Yeah, this is Cincinnati, where I was living for 2 years. So a lot of shots from Cincinnati. This is a very famous bridge. I think it was built in 1858 or something. One of my favorite bridges. So I had a lot of shots from that bridge. So this is downtown Cincinnati from Covington on the Kentucky side with the bridge. So they around the blue R, they light up the bridge. So it gives a beautiful contrast, the blue R and the warmth of the lights.
Okay. Wow.
This is a very famous church in Cincinnati. And all the clouds were kind of dramatic that day.
Fantastic. Wow.
Yeah,
this is shot with your Leica?
No, these are with a Sony A7R2.
The A7R2.
Yeah, most of the long exposures are with the Sony.
Okay.
So this is the center of downtown, a beautiful place. It has this huge fountain.
Nice.
And this was an attempt, and this is a very busy place, but doing long exposures and giving the exposure for a few minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you will kind of get nobody there, right? It almost looks like a ghost town. So that was the idea, and also get the sun reflecting here with the starburst, sunburst. Yeah. So you see, it almost looks completely desolate, whereas actually full of people.
Yeah.
This was right after monsoon, rainy season. There's a small falls.
Nice. Magical light.
Yeah, the light is what it's all about.
Nice. I think everyone who's watching is like glued into the screen. I mean, they're not even typing any comments there. I think everyone is like, what is happening here on my screen? Kind of, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. So that was pretty much the formats, and the kiddo just shoots so much that naming all this and putting it together, it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
where is this guy? Yeah, this was another one. This I shot with the Leica Q the other day. The whole
Okay.
COVID. I was documenting COVID. Some amazing
Oh,
light.
nice.
The
Wow.
shadows.
Wow. Okay. That's superb.
Then
Chanchal Koshiari saying, I read their minds when I talked about all, everyone, kind of glued into the screen. Yeah. Wonderful,
I'm not
wonderful.
finding that particular picture.
No
but
problem.
yeah,
So what I do is you please find that. And, there you are. Correct?
this is my son. I mean, this is the most time I've spent with him because I keep traveling between India and US. So maximum I spend 3 months. So the lockdown kind of forced me. So it gave me a lot of opportunity to observe, him, what he sees, the way he sees it, what he likes to do, where he loves to go. So yeah, it was just documenting some of those. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's
Yeah.
that.
Sure. Hey,
Cool.
wonderful. Hey, thank you. So, people, I want to take this particular moment to kind of announce a session by PV Subramanian on our Pixel Village, and it's going to be on long exposure photography. So let me quickly share with you that page, okay, which is in courses. Okay, please come on, and here it is. Okay, this is the session. And this is a pre-recorded session. This is not a live webinar where PVS is going to teach you long exposure photography. Okay, so in long exposure photography, he is going to be teaching all this. It'll be about an hour and a half session. What is long exposure photography and the technicalities of it, and the in the art side of it, and then why should you shoot a long exposure, equipments needed, aesthetics, challenges, aesthetics of long exposure, and post-processing, meaning the entire process of shooting. It actually includes a lot of on-location footage too. So he's going to teach you through the whole process. He will tell you exactly what you need to do that. He will actually take you through an actual shoot on a location, bring the images back, and also work in post to create the final image. So this is going to be available on Pixel Village on 20th of June, and the cost of the session is going to be 1,500 rupees. It's a pre-recorded session. It's not a live webinar. But if you are buying it today, it will be available at 50% of the price. You click and straight away you will get it at. Let me see. Yeah, it's applied. Is it applied 50%? Let me say check out, and let me see if there is no. You will have to apply a promo code, which I will quickly add. Okay. I am sure the tech team is watching because we put it together this afternoon. So I hope the tech team is watching this. Please apply the 50%, the promo code, and this will be available for today if you buy today. But the session will be available to you on the 20th of June because we are putting it together. All right. So let me get back. So that being, said, let's get back to the question. Okay, what filters do you use for long exposure photography?
Yeah, so typically two types of filters. Actually, there are plenty you can use, but basically you need something called a neutral density filter, which is basically nothing but a dark filter which cuts light so that you can get a longer time for exposing, so that you can capture the movement of clouds or water or stars or vehicles or whatever. So you use a neutral density filter, and if you want to darken the skies a little bit vis-a-vis the land, you can use a neutral graduated filter. Sometimes I also put a polarizing filter depending on the need. But yeah, typically it's a neutral density filter and a graduated filter.
Okay, so the tech team just confirmed that the promo code will be automatically applied while checkout. So if you shop today, you will get a 50% discount from the 1,500 rupees. So if you are interested in learning the whole thing about long exposure photography by PVS, you can buy that at 50% discount today. The class, like I said, will be available on the 20th. It's a pre-recorded session with a lot of a theory part, explanation, and an actual hands-on shoot on location and post-processing. Rahul KV is asking, do you develop film on your own? If so, how's the process? Now he wants you to talk about the process, Rahul.
So do I develop? Not most of the time, because in the US it's easy. You have labs which do it. When I'm in India, I have a very good friend, Mr. Ashim Day. He's an expert, so I go to his house, and both of us over a couple of drinks develop, the film. So best of all worlds. So we do that. The process, I think it's a fantastic process. It's therapeutic, although you're inhaling some chemicals. That apart, it's very therapeutic. It takes time, and the joy of seeing that film kind of developing, and then the image appearing, although it's a negative, but still that when you pull it out, the suspense of whether it will be well exposed, it will be all white, all black, you don't know. And it has happened. So that we pulled it out and there was nothing. So that has also happened. But those mistakes go a long way in teaching you not to. Maybe it's a very expensive mistake. So you will stop making mistakes only when the when the mistakes are very expensive, right? So that's what film teaches you discipline. So yeah, it's a fantastic process. But let me show you one more thing. I didn't keep it with me, but let me show you one more interesting thing. So recently, rather like I told you,
Yes.
I started doing wet plates, right? So which is a photographic process from the 1850s. Okay. So basically, on the large format camera, you kind of put this plate.
I'm going to keep it full frame so that people
sure.
see it.
Yeah. So basically, this is a tin. It's called tin type. So you coat this with a chemical called collodion, and then you put it in silver nitrate, so this becomes light sensitive. Now, the thing is that this is sensitive mostly to ultraviolet. I showed you infrared, which is beyond the visible spectrum. Now, this is on the other side. This is ultraviolet. This is also beyond the lighting spectrum. So the ISO, we are used to now what, 50,000 ISO or 102,400 ISO something. This has an ISO of 0.75 to 1. Okay, so that's how slow it is as a light sensitive material. So basically, and there is no way you can meter for this. You have to guess exposure, and sometimes it takes. And my poor son was ready to stand for almost 5 to 6 seconds. So in bright sunlight, you might have to expose it for 1 second or 2 seconds. So in this kind of shade, it might have been 7-8 seconds, and then you immediately get it in a dark room, and then you pour developer and the fixer, and then you get this. And this is for posterity. This, if you coat it with some material, this will remain forever. Okay, and nothing will happen to it. It's tin, right? It's metal. So basically, you're creating pictures on metal. So this, and again, my son has been, because of COVID, he has been my favorite model at this point. So and he's already irritated with it, but yeah. So this is what I've been doing during COVID. One of the things I learned, I didn't know this. I learned this, and then I started doing this during COVID.
Wow. And you said it is 1850. So somewhere around the time when photography was being, I mean,
Yes,
photography
yes.
probably was invented about
Yeah.
25 years prior to that.
Yeah, photography was,
And
I think, became popular around the 1800s, but 1850s, wet
yeah.
plates started becoming fairly
And
popular.
that bridge in your town was built around the same time.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it
Wonderful.
almost feels like I'm from the 1800s. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you're holding a piece of history in your hand, and
Yeah.
when you feel that, the whole feeling is so different. And to tell you the fact that if you spend tons of money and buy the latest of today, it will be out of fashion in 6 months, and
Yeah.
you will start feeling horrible about the fact that you need to
Yeah.
put some more money to buy the the newer one. And these are timeless. I mean, and like you said, these are for posterity. Amazing.
I think Jairaj says,
Ah.
how do you educate yourself to take better pictures?
Okay, so in the process, I missed a few.
We're already
Okay,
1
so
hour 30 minutes, so quickly we'll take some
Yep.
questions.
Yes. Is infrared filters good for fine art photography?
Well, if you're technically really understanding what fine art photography and you really want to do fine art, yes, absolutely. Infrared, you can create fine art with very minimalistic pictures with infrared. Absolutely, you can.
Without filters, is long exposure photography possible?
It's possible with the new Sigma FP because it has an ISO of 6.
Okay.
Yeah, so it is possible, but typically it might not be because you have to cut a lot of light, or you have to shoot well past or after sunset or something, right? When the light is really low, so that your exposure time gets much longer.
Okay. Hi, Base. The session on Instagram for photographers will be back. It had to be postponed because of the non-availability of the mentor. It was supposed to be a live webinar. So we will announce it. We'll bring it back, and you will know about it. Thank you, Base. How to earn from this art, from fine art? I hope that's what she means by.
Well, from any kind of photography to earn, I think like any other form of art, right? One, we seriously have to start creating art, and that the definition of good art keeps changing. So we need to understand the market. We need to be savvy about what is being sought after nowadays, right? And then market yourselves very well. So a lot of people are good artists but fail at marketing. A lot of people are great marketeers but probably not great artists. So it again is a juxtaposition of all this, right? So fine art photography, it takes a few years, but if you're really good and you get involved with some brands, the brands can promote you, or you can get in touch with art dealers and they can promote you among really big circles where they can afford fine art photography. Like paintings, they do sell. As far as weddings and all the commercial portraits and all that yes, if you create great pictures, people see it, people will want you to shoot. But I think the underlying fundamental is that you have to start creating great work and work which stands out.
Absolutely. Hemlata Saini, hope you got your answer there. William was saying his first shot of black and white turned completely white.
It happens to all of us. It's happened to all of us. I would really want to meet somebody who says I've developed X number of films.
My first
and nothing
roll, and
ever
it
has
came
gone
out.
wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Homier is asking, what's the metal? What metal is that?
It's probably just aluminum or something like that with a black coating on top, so that when you pour the collodion, it's a black kind of surface, and then it becomes light sensitive. So with silver nitrate. Yeah.
Wesley is saying the wet plate prints are beautiful.
Thank
so
you.
Wesley is watching.
Wesley.
Thank you, Wesley, for watching the the show. Rahul is saying, okay. So Rahul KV is saying, another question. Ever since I came across the rule of thirds, I started seeing framing with that in mind. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. What are your thoughts?
For most part, it's good. It's like I said, it's one of the very basic tenets of composition. But two things. One is there are times when you could break the rule. So remember that. And if from your mind you feel that you need to break it, break it. Don't get obsessed with this whole rule of thirds. And second is get a little deeper into composition. Rule of thirds is not everything. So there's way beyond rule of thirds. Read about dynamic symmetry, read about leading lines, read about S-shaped compositions, read more about geometry, application of geometry in photography. So there's so much beyond just rule of thirds. But basically most of the times it will work. It's not a bad thing.
Okay. Okay. Then what is it? Okay, so this one is not exactly related to the session that we did today, but Nicholas is asking, is there any difference between the light that comes out of a square, a rectangle, a softbox, or an octagonal softbox?
There are 100,000 videos and articles and blogs on this. Please Google.
Yeah, it's actually, Nicholas, it's very easy to find out. I mean, there are so many videos available. Then you will realize where you need a square light, where you need a rectangular light, where you need a stripped light, where do you need a huge mega, octagonal softbox, and whether it should be kept in front of the camera or behind the camera. There are times when we shoot with a large octagonal softbox behind the photographer. So these are things that you will learn as you progress in photography. Not probably on the first day of photography.
That question, Homiar's question, I would love to. Yeah. So again, like I said, the question is journalistic or conflict photography art? Like I said, art is genre agnostic, right? Now go look at Steve McCurry's pictures. Look at Robert Capa, who shot Second World War.
Yeah.
Yes, most of their pictures is art, right? Art, the use of light, the use of composition, again, the use of geometry and, color contrast, absolutely stunning images. I mean, there is a reason why they were part of Magnum and National Geographic and all that, right? Because that work really stands out. There are thousands and hundreds of thousands of people covering conflict photography, but not everybody is an artist. So I think art just is pervasive across genres. There is no exception to it. If somebody is saying, this kind of photography will not have art, that's just BS. I mean, that cannot be. It's an art form. It will have art. So I don't think we should just ignore that fact. And I think a lot of people find it as an escape route, saying that I do this genre, so I don't care about art. I think they just don't understand art. They don't want to embrace the art. Art can be there in every kind of photography. There's no exception to it. Wesley is inviting us to Malaysia, Radha.
Oh, yes. I just read that. PVS, please come to Ilford Gallery
Platinum
in Malaysia,
Palladium.
and
Oh
we
my
can
God.
make Platinum Palladium prints all day.
Yeah. That's my aim. Actually, I'm shooting with this. I'm actually saving some of the really good pictures that come because the tonality of this camera is so brilliant. So I'm saving a few of them to make Platinum Palladiums.
In fact, I had one colleague in our studio who used to make Platinum Palladium prints, and I got some mobile phone shots printed on platinum, and I have it. I have it. Small ones. And he used to he used to import this paper from France, and he used to print them. And I have few of my pictures that I shot during a recce location scout in Pondicherry, and I found those images very interesting, and I got them printed by him. He was one of the very few people who could print Platinum Palladium in the country. I don't think there are too many people doing that. He managed to get
I think one of your mentors, Mr. Dhananjay, is doing it, because I met him at CEIF and I was chatting with him. So he said he pretty much has all kinds of chemicals.
Yes,
okay?
yes,
he
yes.
said whatever
he's one
you want.
guy who once he gets into it, he gets really
Yeah.
into the depth of it.
Yeah.
But there are not too many people. You can actually probably count them in
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
in your hands. So
Yeah.
he does that. But unfortunately, the guy who used to do it shifted from photography, and he's an IT guy. Usually, IT guys shift into photography. Now, in this case, he decided to go the other way.
Yeah.
So thank you, Wesley, for that offer. Hopefully,
Yeah,
post-COVID,
hopefully.
we will make a trip to your part of the world. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much, Wesley, for that invitation. What is your source of getting interest versus? Oops, I don't know if it is as a question. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I said, Hemlata, that the source is everywhere. Okay. The point is, are you observant? Do you have time for this? Like I said, your family will get pissed off, and it takes a lot of time. So it takes a lot of time. Number one, you have to start looking for sources. You might see a movie and you might love the lighting in it. Go deeper
Yep.
into it. Understand. So, for example, after seeing movies for 40 years of my life plus, when I saw Revenant, I was still blown, right? The way Lubisky really used the camera, the wide angles,
Yeah.
the movements, the lighting. So pretty much everything in life will teach you something which you can borrow and get into the art, right? It's all up to you to kind of assimilate all that, understand what they're trying to say, interpret it, and then put it in. So YouTube today is just it's just a vast source, right? Google, YouTube, movies, reading, so much is there, and sites like our own Pixel Village, right? There is so much. There is so much out there. It's all a matter of your dedication and your energy and effort towards it. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. Babu GS Rao is asking, in India, it's difficult to sell or to get a connection with agencies. Any lead or suggestion, sir?
Yeah, if somebody has lead suggestions, give me also. I'm also trying. But that said, jokes apart, it is difficult. It's difficult because of two things. Like I said, one is your work seriously outstanding, and does it really start appealing to people? That is number one, and that too because there is so much of noise out there, right? There are trillions of pictures being created every year, and there are so many good people out there. So how will you ensure, even if you're good, even if you're very good, there's probably somebody who's better, right? So that constant evolution of improving needs to keep on happening, and then you need to really start creating a niche style and market for yourself. Number one. Second is, I think, networking. Like I said, uh, as an artist, I can't just say I'm an artist. I will not do anything else. I will only create art. If you're serious about creating that commercial perspective into it, you need to network. You need to find out. You need to be out there in the market. You need to talk to people. You need to build a network. You need to know people. You need to start connecting, be visible. That's just a given in any kind of business, and slowly you'll start getting there. If you have that focus and say, this is what I want, first start with just finding out what are those agencies which actually do this kind of stuff, and then see what it takes to get there, and then work backwards. So that's all I can say at this point. But I mean, even I don't have any straight on leads to say, okay, call this guy and it'll happen.
Yeah. Wesley is saying you don't have to really shoot 4x5, just
sure.
shoot digital, like he said, and then
Yeah.
go into a semi-dark room and then have fun exposing and developing a platinum palladium print.
Yeah.
Thank you. My question is mirrorless EOS or oh no, I don't. Can you understand this question?
My question is in mirrorless EOS or OLED viewfinder. Is that possible? The image will be same to direct printing without edit. It says results will be the same. I don't know. If the company is saying you can print without editing or post production, I don't know. I mean, if your picture is that good and your JPEG coming out of the camera is that good, probably yes. Why not? You don't necessarily need to, but Yeah, I mean that's just completely up to how you shoot the image. It's absolutely possible that you create a fantastic image. You don't have to retouch it or process it. That's absolutely possible, and that's not just with the EOS R or OLED or whatever, right? It's with any camera. If you're good enough,
Yeah,
you can still
yeah,
churn out good pictures ready for print.
yeah. So APS Photography is happy about the fact that you actually shared,
Thank you,
knowledge
APS.
about photography, and really appreciate your effort. And
Thank
I
you.
sincerely feel, I mean, I share his point of view. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
You
Yeah, sure. I
okay?
can list them. The masters they want. The master. Can I do that, or how do? Okay.
Yeah, we
The
can.
master. The master has spoken. So Wesley says no camera can produce accurate colors without calibration. Okay.
Wesley, don't miss an opportunity to
Yeah, that's the master
shoot them
speaking.
point blank.
Please
Yeah.
don't believe me. He's the authority on that.
He's the authority on color. If you have not watched the all about color live webinar, it's there available for you to watch, where Wesley Wong from Malaysia spoke to us for a full 1.5 hours with enough examples and stuff, and he's kind of explained to you how important it is to understand the color weight and a color right, and how all cameras lie.
So going back to Hemlata's question, is there any way I
Yes.
can type or?
You can type. Of course, you can type in the comments
On
column.
YouTube.
Do you have a comments column?
No,
right
I
below?
don't. I don't.
Okay, so what you do is you can comment. You can type it in the private chat. I'll copy and paste it in the comments.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. From
So there
last
comes the
20.
first.
You can type it together in
Oh, okay.
So you
Fine.
press shift and then return, so you can keep right underneath.
Yeah. So Elliot Herbert is there. Then who else? Joseph.
All right. My experience working with last 20 years in photography. Yeah.
Yeah, these are a few. So
Okay.
you can start here, and once
call.
you start here, you will keep going from there, and then.
All right. Then Robert Kappa and Fan Ho. All right. So there. Oh, sorry. I copied and pasted in the same. All right. Okay. Here you go. All the masters are listed. Referred by PVS in the session is listed here. It's now available in the Facebook and the
but
YouTube.
Also understand that these are people who premiered or who are premier photographers in a certain era. So when you look at the picture, look at those pictures with that context. Otherwise, it's very easy to go and say, "Hey, what is this? There's nothing here." But understand, read about them, understand their background, where they came from, how they evolved, and why their pictures are so. So you need to really immerse yourself in this. Otherwise, it's very easy. If you will love listening to Elliot Irvitt. I mean, his pictures are so humorous, but the way he talks is as humorous as his pictures, and he'll be without batting an eyelid, without smiling. He'll just subtly, there's so much of subtle humor in the way he speaks. So it's just brilliant.
Yeah. Okay. Nicholas DeCosta is asking a question from his dad. Is in Pixel Village, do you also provide courses that give internationally accepted certificate? Yes, that's the objective. We one day want to reach there, where we can actually provide certification, internationally accepted certification. We are on our way to doing that. COVID has put thrown a spanner in the works, so to speak, for the time being, but we'll be back. Hopefully, once everything settles down, we start working on that. So thanks for asking that question. Yes, we are working on that. Thank you, Nicholas. All right. How much exposure? Okay. So APS photography.
Yeah. If you're talking about exposure latitude on slides, wow, if you take a 50 SA film like Velvia or something, really, really less. I mean, I can't say X stops, but I don't know, 5 stop, 4, 5 stops or something. If you under or over beyond that, it's going to get either clipped or crushed. Digital, yeah, obviously has way, way more latitude nowadays than any of your slide films and stuff. But again, like I said, it all depends on what you're shooting and how you're shooting and how you're viewing the frame. So that's what slides will teach you. That's what film will teach you, to look at pictures in a way that there is not more than a certain number of f-stops in the whole scene, right? So then you don't have to bother about your dynamic range or latitude or anything. You can still figure it out.
When I started professional photography, it's in 2000, early 2000s. I got this. The first camera that I got to work with was a 6-megapixel Sinar digital camera. Okay, with an Olympus lens. So it was like probably a smaller sensor than an APS-C. But they were using an Olympus lens, and I never took a good picture on it because it was probably not, it was a SCSI interface, and there are so many bottlenecks on the way, but it was very expensive in those days. So I used to read a Sinar literature, and they used to talk about those 4 stops if you want to, in those days, you used to print on offset, print all sorts of, regular print. There was no digital printing available in those days. So you had to keep your image in 4 stops. According to Sinar, if you want to print with all highlight, shadow
that's
details.
All you had. That's all you had.
Yeah, that's all you had. So which means you need to meter it well, you need to shoot it well, you need to process it well. At every stage, there is a possibility of someone messing up that, so that's why when you see a photographer in Germany shooting, processing, developing, scanning and printing, and vis-a-vis somebody doing that in a place like ours where we don't have any standardization, you certainly see the difference. So yeah, those were the days. I mean, like you said, you need to, and one sheet of film was like what, $700-800 for a 4x5 sheet film.
So APS is saying, my question was, working in Velvia with such exposure latitude was a better experience. Oh yeah, absolutely. I think like I said, APS, it really taught you. It really made your mistakes count. The problem today is that, and I say it's a problem because, like I said, it hides your incompetency. So you can make mistakes and get away with it. That's the biggest difference. And if you cannot get away with your mistakes, that forces you to evolve. And there's a reason why I love Leicas, right? Because you will not see, they've actually even reduced the buttons now. Earlier they had these 5 buttons, all this, right? Now if you see, they have nothing, and their menu is like 3 pages, and you have your aperture, shutter speed right on top, and with their latest one you have ISO. So what you need is right there. Beyond that, you don't need anything. So these guys have some kind of courage, right? They actually introduced a digital camera without an LCD. Go figure.
Yeah. Exactly. In fact, the Fuji introduced one with the LCD fixed, LCD inside the rear screen. So if you need it, you need to
want it, pull it out. Otherwise, shoot like analog, right?
Good old days. In fact, I did one when I did the review. I purposely, I resisted looking at the LCD and kept on shooting. Of course, sometimes I cheated because you get a preview on the in your eyes. So sometimes I kind of, when you are not entirely sure, then I used to kind of do a quick playback in the eyepiece itself. Okay, so this question is, just because mirrorless are introduced, should you migrate to them and sell the DSLR?
Whatever works for you, I mean, well, I moved to mirrorless in 2013. The first Sony A7R I was telling you yesterday was shipped to me in India.
Yes.
So yeah, I was a very early mover into mirrorless, simply because I liked the concept that whatever you're seeing in the EVF is from the sensor, so you don't have to worry about any parallax, any kind of exposure issues. See, for me, the most important thing is that the camera, if it's smart enough, it should take care of everything, and I should be left to framing and exposure and framing. Okay, how much ever I can get out of thinking about too many things and declutter, the better, right? So that way, mirrorless was a real good. And I think what attracted me most to mirrorless was the fact that I could adapt vintage lenses to mirrorless, which you can't do with DSLRs. I think that was a big thing. So after that, I bought and sold so many vintage lenses, and the rendering still of these vintage lenses is so amazing. I mean, Canon were the first guys to make a 0.95 lens, you know,
Yeah, I've
which
seen
still
that.
sells. It still sells for like $3,500, $4,000. It's called a dream lens simply because of the beautiful out of focus areas it renders, right? So all those lenses you can use on mirrorless. So why not? I mean, and that's why slowly the prices of vintage lenses going up.
Yeah. So I have this. I keep, thanks to Pixel Village, so I get these cameras to kind of take a look at it, play it for a few weeks, and send it back. So I have this is the
Mark III,
latest, the latest bad boy of the DSLRs, and this is the latest bad boy of the mirrorless. The XT4. Beautiful, both are beautiful cameras. Beautiful cameras, purpose built for different. This guy is purpose built for me. This guy is purpose built for action and sports. Of course, you can also shoot weddings with it. I'm not saying that people buy it for weddings, but action, you're not going to miss a shot. This guy also filming. 5.5K filming, whereas this guy is an amazing, cute little guy with so much versatility. Also a completely articulated
you can vlog with it.
You can vlog with it. You can shoot low angle. You can shoot wedding. You can shoot street. You can with their long lenses. You can actually shoot a fantastic bird or wildlife with it. And it also shoots 16 frames a second. And so silent, and also got inbuilt IBS. So if you talk about technology, this guy comes with all that. And cut to what you have in your side is like very basic, and you're still creating amazing pictures. So like we started saying, it's about what you want to. It's not always about technology or owning the absolute latest. So William is saying, rather, I had booked the 1DX Mark III too, but because of COVID, Canon India has no stock.
COVID is playing spoil sport in a lot of things.
A lot of places. Sure. How so this is about the Lova lenses.
I've never used them, but the pictures I see look lovely, so I would like to try.
I held those. They're wide angle micro. They have a. I think it's a 24 mm. I think wide angle micro or a 15 mm.
Beautiful.
They're 9. They also have a 90 micro. I had the catalog. They were to send me the lenses, but never happened because it's not started picking up in the country because it's still a manual lens. But I've seen some amazing pictures shot with
lovely pictures.
Those
all those rectilinear, wide-angle rectilinear lenses are also very good. And then they have that probe macro, right, which can go inside stuff and shoot and all that. So like they make some really unique lenses.
Okay.
William wants a film recommendation. Sorry.
All right. I just wanted to say that Nicholas, one of our guys, he says the promo code works. He just bought the session. Hey, thank you, Nicholas. Thank you very much. We'll make sure that it is published on the 20th, along with everything that we've promised. Thank you. So we'll look forward to your feedback on that. Okay. Thank you. And back to William's question.
Film recommendation.
Sorry.
up slightly ahead, a little before. I
Oh,
just
okay.
inherited a Canon AE1. Yeah, yeah. So
Oh, yeah.
primarily I use Ilford, right? And if you see in there, this thing you have right from 100 to I've used 1600 also Delta, Ilford Delta. So you get fairly the full range. And if you don't want to do black and white processing and you want to do C41, then you also have that FP they have, which basically you can do that. So I think there's a lot of variety within Ilford. Across is very good, but I don't think you get across anymore. I think Fuji has stopped. I have one last roll of across, which I'm saving. I don't know what to click with it, so I'm saving it so much. But yeah, I think
So
Ilford
they
is fairly all-purpose.
so they're giving that as a film simulation in their
Yes.
cameras these days.
Yes, I had the GFX, so I used that.
Oh, you have the
quite a
GFX.
bit.
Wonderful.
I sold it because
Oh,
it
you
was.
gave it away.
I mean, 100 megapixel files for weddings. I was going crazy editing those. I said, forget it, not happening.
Yeah. Hey, so there you go, guys. The man who said you need to be very careful buying your equipment bought 100 megapixel and sold it.
The 50R actually.
Oh, the earlier one. Oh, okay, the
Yeah.
50 megapixel.
I tested
Okay,
the
wonderful.
100, but yeah, 50R was what I had.
Yeah, yeah. What was I saying? There was something that I forgot. Did I forget? How did you okay, how did you get this deep voice rather? No, I cannot take any credit for it. I mean, I came with it. It was included in the package. I need to thank my parents for it. And probably the Deity mic, which is picking up the audio here. I cannot really take any credit for that. By the way, thank you for saying that. Thank you.
So William, you can put William in touch with Vijay, no? So he's asking where processing and film and stuff.
Yeah.
So
I shall
Vijay,
do that.
Srishti has all kinds of Ilford and Kodak. And join Kit Karma, we have people who do developing, who do black and white developing. Some actually do C41, but I don't think the chemical availability now is very good. But black and white for sure. I can recommend some really good black and white people who develop. You can just mail them and they'll mail it back to you.
I must use this opportunity to actually thank Srishti Digital and Srishti DigiLife. Why am I saying Srishti Digital all the time? Srishti DigiLife and Digitech, both these people, these fine people from these two places for supporting Pixel Village in their, they are the ones who are sponsoring the giveaways in Pixel Village. So, these are the giveaways for this this month, and these are sponsored by these wonderful people from Digitech and Srishti DigiLife. Okay, so I think
2 hours.
2 hours. And did you get your morning coffee? Did you manage to make one morning coffee or tea? I'm so sorry, man.
No problem. See, that's what happens when we get into this. It's always fun.
Yeah. So KB Mala saying, "Oh my God, somebody, oops, this is too much, my friend. too much. Anyway, thank you. What is the best DSLR for beginner under 40K?
Your territory, rather. I have no clue.
Oh no, I would
reviewing.
say,
You've been reviewing so many.
Yeah, well, there are so many cameras available these days. In case you must have a DSLR, then you try looking for a sparingly used one. You will get a good 7200, or you might even find a sparingly used D8 750 or a 610 at this price. I think you should keep an eye for a sparingly used DSLR, because there are lots of guys who are migrating to mirrorless and they are giving away their DSLRs. So maybe instead of buying an entry-level new DSLR, you should look for a sparingly used full-frame DSLR. I can see PBS laughing when I say full-frame.
No. I think what I was saying is, I think more and more people need to really, especially if you're joining, if you're just getting into photography, it's always a
Yeah.
great idea to buy used, right? I think in India we consider used as something bad. There's this
Yeah.
stigma, right?
By the way, Kit
Well,
Karma is a place that you can go and check, right?
yeah,
Can I just?
yeah.
So
I'll
it's
just
www.KIT
KITARMA.com.
KITKARMA.com, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So in
people, I
Kitkarma, we
have.
encourage people to sell and buy. So if you want to list something, you can list for sale or rent. You can buy or borrow. So you can do whatever. So can I just share?
I have already done that.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah, already done that. So,
I
yeah.
don't. Is it?
Where to sell DSLR? Okay, so www.kitkarma.com. All right. So that's a place where you can list your used equipments. Also, you can buy your used equipments.
Yeah, just go ahead and sign up. And once you sign up, we do verification. That's important. Once the verification is done, you're free to do whatever you want in this thing. So here is a buy sell section. There is a rent section. There is a workshop section, and we are also evolving. The site is still evolving, so bear with us. More changes need to be made. This is happening, but yeah.
Wesley is suggesting that it should be called a run-in instead of.
Correct. So if you're an
you.
audiophile, you'll love that word, right? Run-in.
Yeah. So I have a few audio research and totems in my studio, so I kind of understand what it means. So how do you manage to avoid distortion when shooting portraits, full body shots with wide angle and ultra wide angle lenses?
Well, if you're shooting a portrait with a wide angle or an ultra wide angle, that's because you want distortions, right? Give it a bit of a caricature effect. So don't try to shoot with an ultra wide angle and try to avoid. If you want to avoid, just shoot with a 35 mm, 50 mm, or a 85 mm. Now, if you're constrained, you only have a wide angle and you still have to shoot a distorted portrait, then obviously you'll have to move back and see through the viewfinder what kind of appears non-distorted. That's the only way to do it. But yeah, avoid distortion, move back. Simple as that.
Okay. Is there any courses available in Malayalam in Pixel Village? We are making them. It'll soon be available. Like I said, COVID threw a spanner in the works. So, please bear with us. We are in the process. We are halfway through, creating content in Malayalam, but we were making in Kannada and Telugu as well, but it's on a kind of a hold. It'll be available very soon. Yeah. All right. Okay, please don't ask any gimbal related question, Purbayan, in this session because it is completely out of the gamut of today's discussion. You can call me. I will give you that separately. Okay. This is ATEM Mini Pro. Well, this again is outside the gamut today, but is ATEM Mini Pro best hardware to be used? Video switching and live streaming should consider something or something else. This again is another long question. You need to tell me what it is for, what kind of live switching. Are you going to be doing large events, or it's going to be a small studio live streaming? What is that? You need to be a little more specific for me to kind of. Sometimes you don't even require a hardware. You can do you can do a software switch. So you need to be a little more specific for me to give you an answer. You can ask me separately. Event live streaming. Also, then you need a combination of two things. You need a live switcher plus a streaming device. So Blackmagic, the ATEM Mini Pro, but the Studio HD would be a much better solution. The difference is not much. I would say the Studio HD along with their streaming, the H.264 encoder will be a good solution, or ATEM, the Studio HD plus a live view. Live view is a good option. to stream live events. They all hold full HD quality very well. So those are two options that you have. What pixel resolution needed for images to be used in YouTube thumbnail? Thumbnail should be anything less than 2 MB, 1920, 1280 720, or 1920 1080. That's the aspect ratio. And make sure that your file is below 2 MB, and you can upload them as a thumbnail. Okay, any sessions on drones? Not yet. Well, I don't know how we can do a webinar on drones for sure. We will. Let's see. I mean, now that you have triggered that thought in our head, let's see how we can do something.
On-field webinar.
Yeah, exactly. You can actually, but only thing is whether the
noise and net and stuff like that.
Not sure, but it's you have put a kida into my head. Let's see what it's possible. There's one more. Vishal Bansiwal bought a session at 50%. Thank you very much, Vishal. Really appreciate this. Nandakumar, Nandetan Namaskaram. Is any problem with flickering of LED in mirrorless cameras?
I mean, at certain shutter speeds, it might happen, but once you adjust it.
Yeah, if it is, so even LEDs are of various qualities. There are cheap LEDs which actually has got very prominent flickering. Whereas if you buy an expensive LED, like a single, like a point source LED from some of these bigger manufacturers, there is absolutely no flicker. So if you are referring to, let's say, the LED panels which are cheap, or if you are referring to an LED bulb, in a domestic LED bulb, they all have very prominent flicker because of various manufacturing reasons and price, etc. But if you are buying a purpose-built LED light for filming or still photography, you should not get any flicker. Well, we use Godox LEDs and we use aperture LEDs, and we have no problem. So you should not ideally get that. But if you are using a DIY LED kit with domestic LED bulbs, or if you're buying a cheaper, which means less expensive Chinese LED panels, there are chances are that you will get two issues. One is flickering. Second is this big, color temperature error that you will, you get these dirty magenta which you cannot take away, from the skin. You get that sometimes. You will kick yourself for buying that lens at sometimes. Okay. They're not in a mode to leave you, PVS. The questions are coming.
So William has one question which I can take. Check the integrity of old SLR cameras. So actually, there are two primary problems, or actually maybe three. So one is related to cameras, is that the shutter might be sticky sometimes. So you want to check that. And so the best is to put a roll through it and see what's happening. So the sticky shutter is a problem. Once I bought one and the shutter had some grease or something, then whole night I actually cleaned it, and it kind of started working properly. Then the shutter speed might be off a little bit. So when it says half a second, it might not be half a second. Yeah. And there are meters you get to test that, but better is to just go to some service center. There are still a lot of people who service old cameras. And if you're really buying old film cameras, then it's also always better to buy all mechanical, because if the electronic circuit kind of goes off, then it's very difficult to fix it. But mechanical issues can still probably be fixed in a lot of places. So that, and of course, when you're buying lenses, check for fungus and haze and stuff. That's obviously, since it's been so many years, a lot of them might have developed some fungus and stuff. So the shutter speed, and fungus, those are three problems that occur apart from the electronic issues, and those could be anything. Like I had a Pentax 6x7 mirror lockup, the battery used to drain out so fast, like 2 rolls and the battery used to drain out. And then again, so that was a little painful. But yeah.
Mm. So APS is saying they like our videos and they like our setup very much. And he particularly liked the 8200, the Godox 8200 Pro shoot in the gym. Thank you, APS, for that feedback. Yeah, thank you. And Nanda Kumar Modadi says, Valare Nandi. Thank you, Nandetan. Thank you for that reply. Yeah, I wanted to tell William that I also in the earlier days as a wedding photographer, I also had an AE1 program. It was the AE1 program, a Canon camera with a 50mm. That's all I had, while shooting weddings.
The battery is probably for metering. So if it has an LED inside, I've never used an AE1. If it has an LED inside, then that's what the battery is for. Yeah, the metering.
No, even the shutter is
shutter
AE1.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why E stands for. So it's got an auto exposure, and the shutter is it's an electronic shutter. So battery goes, boom, you're finished. The battery doesn't
the shutter
really
mechanism is triggered by the battery. Okay.
Yeah, battery. Yeah, so you need to have enough batteries in your hand because it can just stop working in between your assignment. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so its questions are coming one after the other.
Okay, so the last one, we'll take the one last one. Okay, so Dream Studio CTR, because that's a very interesting question I'd like to answer. So
one second, Dream Studio CTR. Okay, this one.
Yeah. So here's the thing about wedding photography, right? I don't consider, and of course, it's a personal opinion, others might differ, but I don't consider wedding photography as a genre in itself, okay? Because it's a beautiful kind of, let's say, a situation where you can actually get in multiple genres and styles and integrate it while shooting a wedding. So if you know street photography, you can completely base your wedding shoot on street photography, on the principles of street photography. If you're great at portraiture, you can do a fantastic job with weddings, couple shoots and stuff like that, and then shoot the other event shots, right? So it's a beautiful place where you need not develop a style separately for wedding, but you could actually get whatever style you're following into candid wedding photography. So to answer that, tips means start learning other genres, right? Start learning about street photography, start learning about portraiture, start learning about how to use artificial lights or how to shoot in ambient light. That actually will give a lot of fuel to your wedding photography, rather than trying to understand what is wedding photography, because wedding photography is nothing else but a culmination of pretty much any genre you want to shoot.
Yeah, glamour, candid,
events, you could do anything.
Everything.
You could do anything.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's.
Okay, that was a long evening for us and a long morning for you. Well, I'd like to probably, I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I think we should not test the patience of PVS anymore. We need him more often in Pixel Village. So PVS, thank you very much for this wonderful session and the present. It's quite insightful. And from the comments, I'm certain that they also enjoyed it thoroughly, and there are a lot of people who want to come back and watch it over and over again. So people, thank you very much for being with us throughout the session. And like I said, please share about the news about Pixel Village, and how affordable our classes are and things like that. This is the time we need to, let's make use of this time, okay? There is nothing much that you can do. I keep saying, don't be very adventurous, get outside and do all those nonsense which you are tempted to do because you've been locked in the house for almost 70 plus days. So you are tempted to do it, but this is, mind you, this is the most difficult and most dangerous times Don't venture out unless it's absolutely necessary. Stay home. Take care of your people at home. Take care of your elders, your people, your children. And I say, use this time to enrich yourself, enrich your soul, your spirit, your physique, and your profession in everything that is possible. Make a positive change. Don't give heed to anything that is negative. There are tons of it. If you look for it around you, there is tons of negativity around. Please don't fall prey to it. You know what happens when too much negativity kind of accumulates inside. See what happens to this wonderful actor. People are forced to doing things which they never thought they will ever do. Anyway, thank you very much. Please stay safe.
In case anybody has any further questions, anything they want to, so my Instagram ID is given there, Portraits by PV. So I'm fairly active, so you can just ping me there.
Yes. So Portraits by. So let me bring it to full. That is his ID. You can DM him and ask him his question. He's, like he said, he is not fairly. He's very active, and he will, he will answer those questions. Okay. So Karthik also managed to do us. Why did you venture out? Please tell me that you are doing spot jogging or you are running on a treadmill.
No, he's lucky. He has a river bank along which he runs, so there's not much crowd there.
Okay, wonderful. I envy you, my friend. Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for this.
Thank you.
Wonderful. For your time.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And so I keep saying, stay safe. And we'll see. Well, tomorrow we had planned a session. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have Ashima Narain doing this session tomorrow. But unfortunately, the hurricane, which was the hurricane that hit recently, the last one which hit Mumbai, that disrupted the network, and it's still not back in her wherever she's saying she's not staying in the city now. She's staying outside the city, so she cannot come online. She just told us this morning, so I apologize for that. It will be postponed, so there'll be a couple of days break now for our sessions, and we'll be back with a new, very interesting series which I'm planning now. Will bring some insights from advertising. Okay, let me bring that to you, and I'll advertise. I will let you all know. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, sir.
Now.
See you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye for now.